Mifu is our first limited physical operator in Endfield. While her weapon is the Greatsword, she doesn't actually use it for anything other than auto attacks, and instead chooses to punch her way to victory. Anyways, let's break down our kit, look at our team options, builds, and have a deep dive into some optimized rotation examples. Mifu is a physical crush DPS, meaning that she consumes vulnerability stacks to do big damage. However, unlike other crush DPS, she kind of double dips on it. That is, after crushing, she gains an additional skill cast that essentially works as a second crush. Let's quickly go over the basics. Mifu's basic attack chain has 2 animation cancels, one after the final strike and one after the second swing of the third attack. Taking advantage of both of these is good practice to maximize stagger and SP gain. Her skill is a 3-part skill, with each sequence taking 50 SP. Because both her combo and ultimate shortcut her to the second sequence, the first sequence is only really used for utility. The second part of her skill is what inflicts crush, and gives access to the final sequence if crushing 3 or more stacks of vulnerability. This final sequence is equivalent to a 3-stack crush, regardless of how many stacks were consumed in the previous sequence. This also means that this last part is classified as physical damage, being buffed by arts intensity in the same way that crush does, and conversely does not benefit from skill damage, link, etc. Mifu's combo is activated by applying 3 or more vulnerability stacks on an enemy, inflicting a small physical susceptibility while shortcutting her to her second sequence of her skill, making it a very easy setup. But because both the Grizzled set and her signature weapon buff proportional to the amount of bone stacks consumed, it is nice to get that last bone stack in. And that's where her ult comes into play. This just applies a single bone stack, while also giving her the same shortcut to her second skill that her combo gives. While it's not a super mandatory part of her setup, this allows for burstier setups where you use Mifu's skill cycle 2 times in a short window. So, Mifu is great at consuming vulnerability stacks. So, what teams does she work best with? Chen is an excellent choice, who provides easy follow-up vulnerabilities while also being able to stack them herself. Pog can help with SP while also providing additional buffs from his weapon options as well as breach. And in the last slot, good options include Lifeng or Ardelia for more debuffing, or Ember, who can provide vulnerability without requiring SP, but instead requiring you to get hit. But the additional assistance she provides may come in handy in the upcoming CC event. Last but not least, there's another option for an operator that provides a ton of vulnerability, Rossi. In one combo and skill, she can provide 3 stacks by herself, but she requires somebody to set up an arts infliction, and ideally a bone stack as well. While she can self-stack this bone, it's not efficient at all. So we'll break down 3 different teams and rotations. One with a physical team with either Lifeng or Ardelia as a flex slot, and then a Rossi hybrid team. Before we talk about numbers and builds, let's talk about what we're calculating around. Normally, I calculate around a boss encounter, which focuses heavily on the break window, where you can dish out a ton of burst damage with an additional 30% multiplier. However, in light of the upcoming contingency contract, possibly Endfield's hardest content to date, being primarily common and elite mobs, the calculations will not take the Stagger multiplier into account, in order to focus on longer-term damage. As such, don't compare the numbers from these teams to previous team calcs, which are specifically designed around bosses. Let's take a look at Mifu's build. Her Sig offers quite a considerable jump over her other options, with around a 15% increase over the maxed Battle Pass weapon. Exemplar can perform better than Phantom Pain at equal investment, though something to note is that since Phantom Pain's value is concentrated more into Mifu's crush damage as it has Arts Intensity as a base stat, this may be relatively stronger in the upcoming contingency contract, as it will be heavily shielding reaction damage. For gear, there are two options. The generic build that uses the Swordmancer light armor for ultimate gain, and an alternative build for certain rotations that don't need her ultimate, optimizing instead for full raw power. Mifu's damage profile is almost exclusively all crush damage, with a splash of basic attack in there, half of which being her finisher. As such, the only nodes worth leveling up are her skill, as the third sequence does still scale with it, as well as her basic attack, if you plan to unfield her anyways. In a physical team, you can expect her to be doing around 60% of the total team's damage. Chen has a wide arsenal of weapon options, most of which function as very decent stat sticks, despite the fact that she can't use them to their full potential. Notably, both Rossi and Endfield Sigs are very strong in terms of base stats alone. Glorious Memory, the Rossi Battle Pass weapon, is a very strong choice, especially when maxed out, with Eminent Repute being just slightly weaker. For gear, use the Swordmancer Heavy Armor T1 on her, along with a 3-piece chain bow set. Cooldown reduction on a combo is very important for this rotation. For Pog, both Thermite Cutter and Never Rest are fairly close in terms of buffing power, with Thermite Cutter pulling ahead just slightly. As his damage is not too relevant in this team, we'll be running him on Frontiers to further buff the party, with a Hot Work cartridge to amp up his reach a bit. He needs 37.4% ultimate gain, so you'll need to artifice a little. For the last slot, we'll first look at Ardelia. She'll just use Eternal Zeronite for additional buffing power, and Stanza is the only real buffing option here, as her signature only buffs arts damage. To properly get her ult up in time, she'll need a 95.7% ultimate gain. Let's take a look at the rotation. Start out with a Mifu auto attack, hitting Chen's skill as soon as it lands, along with her and Ardelia's combos. Then continue basic attacking until Chen's combo is up again, and then use her skill and combo again, along with Mifu's combo. Then use Pog's skill but hold his combo. After proccing Ardelia's combo, use both combos at once. And then as soon as Chen's cooldown is ready, use her skill and combo, cancelling the time slow with Ardelia's ultimate. Then use Ardelia's skill as soon as it's available. On lower Stagger bosses, you can use Chen's ult now, but in this example, we'll wait for her combo cooldown to be ready again, at which point we use her skill, combo, and ult, along with Mifu's combo. Then use Mifu's skill, finisher, and then skill 3. Important, make sure you use Mifu's skill before using the finisher, in order to gain the buffs from her side effect and signature weapon if applicable. As this happens, use Pog's combo and ultimate. Finally, use Chen's skill and combo again, along with Mifu's ultimate and skills again. I know the end of the rotation got a bit messy there, but at a baseline, it's very straightforward. Since Chen is solo stacking vulnerability, we're basically just waiting for her combo cooldown to add 2 vulns. It just boils down to, if there's no vuln, trigger Ardelia's combo with a basic attack first, and then use Chen's skill and combo. Wait for Chen cooldown, then get to 4 stacks. Press Mifu combo whenever you see it. If needed, hit Pog skill to apply breach. Otherwise, use Mifu's skills, and when Chen's combo is up again, stack another 2 bones, Mifu ult, and skill again for a second round of burst. What about Lifeng? He offers a slightly faster rotation than Ardelia, even though the rotation concept is extremely similar. Basically, instead of having Chen solo stack with her skill and combo, Lifeng replaces the first skill with his own, adding an additional debuff. Combined with the fact that his SP usage contributes to Vaughn unlike Ardelia, we have extra SP to work with, so we use this to accelerate the start of the rotation by using an extra Chen skill anyway. Lifeng should also carry a Charnos Knight, just to offer more buffing to the team. Let's take a quick glance at the rotation. I won't spend too long on this, as it's very similar to the last. Again, the main benefit in this rotation is that we get the 3 phone stacks pretty much instantly with Lifeng and Chen's combos and skills. This does put us in an awkward situation where we overcap a stack in the first rotation, but doing this gets Mifu's combo on cooldown faster. Because his ultimate applies 2 phone stacks, we use this to get to 4 stacks sooner than we would have waiting for Chen's cooldown. The end result of this is a rotation that's nearly 10 seconds faster than the Ardelia version, while only being marginally behind on damage. Next, let's talk about Rossi. Her gear options aren't really different than before, so this is the same information presented in the Rossi guide. Check that out if you're interested. In this hybrid team, we'll be using none other than Perlica and Goverta as our last 2 teammates. This is one of the only sources of the free starting bone stack. In this team, we'll be using Mifu's full damage setup, as we won't be using her ultimate. Let's look at the rotation. It starts with a basic attack combo, and then use Perlica and Goverta's combos along with Perlica's skill. Then use Rossi's combo, hit the timing, and then use Mifu's combo along with Rossi's skill. During this time, switch to Perlica to get some autos in. This is pretty much the core of the rotation, and the second half repeats this except with ults. So, repeat all of the above. However, we'll also be skipping the perfect timing for Rossi's combo in order to land her ult within Perlica's electrocute. After using Rossi's skill, use Goverta's ult, Perlica's ult, and finally Rossi's ult alongside Perlica's finisher, while using Mifu's skills. Let's take a look at the full speed version. Between these 3 teams, the Rossi team has the fastest rotation, followed by the Lifeng team, and finally the Ardelia team. The DPS between these 3 teams is very similar at the end of the day, so play whatever you want. That's it for this Mifu guide. I hope this guide was helpful in learning her rotations. I hadn't played any physical teams before this, and I'm actually kind of warming up to them a bit. It's always fun to optimize rotations. I can't wait to see how much suffering CC will bring us. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye!